This week, it's all about easy access to a variety of species without needing a boat, keeping it budget-friendly, plus being able to meet fellow anglers while enjoying the thrill of the catch.
That's right, Brie. It's time to grab your gear and head to the dock, the jetty, or even the pier, because it's right now here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We have Captain Rick Murphy back with us this week to talk about fishing the Labor Day weekend ahead from a pier, dock, or jetty. Plus, we have a congressman in the studio today, don't we, Rick?
Absolutely we do. And you know, while Rob Whitman was here today, what we decided to do was go down into Everglades National Park, do a little bit of tarpon fishing, a little bit of snook fishing. We caught some really nice fish this morning, had a beautiful day. But more importantly, secretively, we spent 6 hours talking about the Shark Act, and that's why the congressman is here, is to talk about that tonight.
And I see that you caught them
we
while
did
you were
catch
at it
them.
too. Of course you did.
He's a really good angler. It was really fun.
Awesome, amazing day. Well, before we get to our captains on the line, let's check in at the CCA Workbench with Dave Ferrell. Dave, what's going on over there? Did you get invited on the fishing trip today?
I spent a very lazy day lazing around the hotel room.
Good for you. Preparing for this moment.
Yeah. Just getting ready, getting all this stuff ready for you.
Getting all the gear ready.
Yeah.
I love to hear it. He's working hard, Rick.
He is.
I think he needs a raise.
Yes, he does.
All right, so do I. Getting our Labor Day weekend started is Captain Jeff Hageman with some out-of-this-world pier action in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region. Let's go, Hag.
In my region, we have a lot of piers. You can fish one of the biggest piers in Florida, the Sunshine Skyway Fishing Pier. It spans the whole mouth of Tampa Bay. Always holds a lot of bait fish. It's one of my go-to places to catch bait. And with bait brings a whole lot of predators looking for an easy meal. There's a wide variety of species: tarpon, sharks, kingfish, dead grouper, snapper, Spanish mackerel, and sheepshead, just to name a few. The water flow and the depth makes it a great fishery. When they knocked down the original bridge and rebuilt the new one, they took all the rubble off of it and made artificial reefs all along the fishing pier. So it's got great natural habitat all along it. There's great fishing all year round. And there's other piers scattered along our coast, from Paso Grill Jetty, Clearwater Pier, just to name a few. You don't have to have a boat, like Brie said, to go fishing in my region and enjoy the salt water. And there's no excuse to take a kid fishing out on one of these great piers we have in my region. Moving on inshore, Captain Bobby Brady out of Steinhatchee reports scallop season is in full swing despite Hurricane Debbie coming through. The outgoing tide has seems to be the best and the best water clarity. Get out there a little after dusk, and you can look for scallops right now in anywhere from 4 to 6 feet of water over patchy grass and sand. Don't be afraid to move around a little bit, and there's no problems getting limits right now in Steinhatchee. And scallop season just reopened back in the southern part of the region, so Pasco County is back open in the southern boundary until September 24th, and we have plenty of them here. So remember to fly those dive flags and be safe out there when you're scalloping. And I got a photo here of a scalloper catching one in action.
Nice. All right. Give me some fishing report there, Bubba.
Offshore, Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete reports good blackfin tuna bite right now. 90 feet of water and out has seemed to have been the best bet while he's fishing, bottom fishing over structure. Keeping a flat line out of the back of the boat and chumming some baits out of the back of the boat will help keep fish fired up. Also, those slow pitch jigging rods and butterfly jigs will catch them as well. Captain Rob also reports out of St. Pete a good scamp bite in 170 to 225 feet of water. He's finding them on both hard bottom ledges and rock piles. 60-pound to 80-pound fluorocarbon leader, 8 ounce of lead, and a 6/0 trocar circle hook has been working really well. And he said smaller live baits have been working better than the bigger live baits. And I got a photo here to prove it from Ash and Kristen, for the nice scamp.
All right, Bub, thank you for starting us off tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. Jeff says the redfish on the top of the tide and the beginning of the outgoing tide. Look for the mullet schools, use cut bait and live sardines. And then if you're an offshore guy, mangrove snappers. The bite has been consistent in 25 to 65 feet of water over high relief structure. Use the shrimp or a small pinfish on a knocker rig. What do you think?
I love to see those scallopers scalloping. Brings me back to about a month ago when we went.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yes, it was.
All right, well, structure is the name of the game in the Alto Equipment Southwest region. So let's find out what we're catching with Captain Ronnie Houston. Go for it, Ronnie.
Well, like always, guys, it's a pleasure being here. You know, the piers and jetties from Naples to Sun Pass, several passes that are lined with rock. And then even though the Naples Pier and the Fort Myers Pier still have not been repaired since Hurricane Ian, those are areas in a form of structure that attract many different species. And even though the piers haven't been rebuilt, the bait's plentiful and a variety of fish are plentiful. But once the bait is drawn to the area, many different fish take a refuge there, including the snappers, the sheephead, snook, redfish, and tarpon, just to name a few. Now, time of year generally dictates the abundance of certain species. By fishing this structure, a variety of fish can be caught matching the hatch. So when you get in some of these areas, try to match the bait that's in the area with whatever you're going to use, live bait or an artificial. But also you can fish cut baits as well as shrimp, cut baits, spoons, soft plastic shrimp, paddle tails, and your old-fashioned bucktail will catch a variety of fish. So you work these patterns in all these areas, you're bound to catch something. And like I said, depending on migrations, is a certain species you're going to catch all the time. Now, still on the inshore side, the snook. You know, as I've reported in the last several weeks, the bite has been great, actually, all out throughout the whole region. But right now, from Goodland south down into the Everglades, fish are being caught right now along the passes, and an opportunity still for personal bests are possible. You want to concentrate your efforts by fishing outer Gulf points with good moving water. I tell you right now, once the tide gets slack, things can be tough. Baits you can use in some of these areas, if you can't find the pilchards, get you some live pinfish. Live pilchards will also work. Can't get either of those two? Simple cut baits and knocker rigs, a variety of artificial swim baits, anywhere from 5 to 8 inch, along with big walk-the-dog lures. Your colors are going to be bone, chartreuse, and chrome. I like that Jaywalker 120, along with bigger spoons, 3/4 ounce to 1 ounce spoons. I have a nice picture of a fish that was recently caught. Personal best for this person. Want to go out and catch a big fish, got to use a big bait. Now's the opportunity.
Ooh.
Still nice. On the offshore side, the permit. So Captain Gordy Watson reports, with the passing of this full moon we just had, there's been a decent fish of permit that has moved in. So you want to concentrate your efforts on wrecks and artificial reefs, you know, as close as 5 miles out to 20 miles. In areas right now, there hasn't been a lot of pressure on them, and the fish have been schooled up on top, especially on those slicker days. Now, if you don't see the fish on top, free-lining baits or just enough weight to go below the surface, or you might have to make several drifts in and around the structure. Key baits he's been telling me has been the live crabs and shrimp have been the best baits. And I have a picture of a nice permit that was recently caught while fishing on a mission fishing charters out of Naples.
Nice.
Last species is going to be, and I know it's talked about all through the region, the yellowtails and mangrove snappers. Both Captain Gordy Watson and Hogwall Charters both reporting it's been pretty easy to get great numbers. They're concentrating on wrecks and ledges, you know, as close as 60 feet and all the way out to 100. He says chumming is going to be the key, but right now with all the rain we're having, it's taking a little time to chum them up. But with all the rain we have had, fish are sticking closer to the bottom. So you can try when you're chumming, you can try the flat lining with light weights, you can try screen lining them, but he'll tell you right now, if the fish don't come up to the chum, chicken rigs on the bottom will definitely get the job done. Hope everybody enjoys this beautiful weekend we're going to have coming up, 3-day weekend. Get out and go fishing. Please be safe, all your safety gear, and everybody get out and have a good time.
Good advice, Midnight. Thank you so much. We're going to go and take a look at the battery tender hotspots from the Southwest region. Ronnie says that inshore, the redfish east and west wall in the north end of the region using live pinfish, cut baits, topwater plugs, and gold spoons up there in Punta Gorda. And then offshore, permitting cobias and Naples to Fort Myers Beach at the wrecks and artificial reefs and 5 to 20 miles out using live crabs, shrimps, or even a large live bait, Brie.
All right, well, as we can see, there are so many ways to target your favorite species from the piers, docks, and jetties. And coming up, Dave Ferrell might help you with a few tips from the Fish Bites Trading Post, rigs and techniques at the CCA Workbench.
I've got
Right,
16 tips.
16?
16. Yeah.
Wow, we gotta
Here
get
we go.
going.
We got to get going. All right, and then the Fish Bites East region is loading your offshore, inshore, onshore, and bass report with Captain Mike Holliday. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather. Fish mapping. Entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Berkeley Prospect Chrome. Fish Bites Trading Post. The first choice of First Coast anglers. Castaway Coffee. One taste and you'll be hooked. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and as you can see, guys, it's time for the Fish Bites Trading Post rigs and techniques. And Dave, if you got 16 tips, I'm not talking anymore.
Oh, come on now. Well, you know, we have a great bunch of piers and all across Florida, you know, East Coast, West Coast, Gulf. We just got a lot of good places to go fishing. We're very blessed that way. If you're going to be out there on the pier, you want to get there early, get you a good spot, either there early before the sun comes up or right after the dark, depending on when the pier opens. But those are the best times to be there. Plus, it's the longest. It's probably the time you could stay there the longest. You don't want to go there in the middle of the day unless the tide's just perfect and you don't plan on staying too long, because it's, especially during the summertime, it's going to be hot.
Right.
Always, you know, get a backpack is a good thing to have because you can carry a lot of stuff on your back, freeze up your hands. Sunscreen, you got to have sunscreen and water and all that stuff. A nice 5-gallon bucket's always good to have. You can fill it with water and put live baits in it if you can catch them. We want to try to catch live baits and whatnot if you can. It's always good to have two rods, one for that rod that you're going to let sit with a bait on it, like this one here, that Penn Battle 4. That's a great rod. It's a long rod. It's kind of a little bit heavier. It's great to put a nice circle hook on there and a big bait. You can let that sit, you know, and a fish comes along and eats it, a big drum or a redfish or a snook or whatnot, and then you can see it's getting a bite. And a circle hook's a great thing to put on there because, you know, it'll hook itself. The fish will usually hook itself against the bait. So that's a good thing to have as your big rod, and then you can use a little, you know, pin spinner, like a Spinfisher 7 here, a little combo, 20-pound combo for you're doing all your casting.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that comes in close to the pier. Like if you want to throw some top waters at some Spanish mackerels or some bluefish coming through, those are all great things to cast at. And these are some of the things we're going to be used to cast at them.
Right.
These power bait shrimp are really good. These are the new Berkeley bonga shrimp. You know, you can put those on a jig head. Everything eats a shrimp, especially around a pier. You can even catch, you know, sometimes pompanos and whatnot when you're bouncing that on the bottom in the sand. Things love to eat it, and those things have like a bunch of that power bait inside of them.
Yeah.
Things will hold on to them. They say, you know, 18 times longer or whatever. I wouldn't eat it, but you know, you can. We could have a lot of different colors and whatnot as well. But like I said, you know, the longer rods help you out making those long casts. Medium heavy or medium action are probably good. Bring a lot of different hooks and different weight sizes because the tides will change. I like to just bring just a ton of different weights and different hooks. You know, a big treble hook is a good thing to bring.
Yeah, I see that.
You can use that to snag baits. If you can't get them to eat a sabiki or something, you can snag baits with them. You can also use 2 rods to help yourself get, you know, if you're wanting to like bridge gaff a fish, you can put another treble hook down there and hook him and get them up to you. So I always want to make sure that I have some treble hooks. I always want to make sure that I have a big section of wire. Because, again, if the bluefish or the barracudas or the mackerels come through, you're going to lose a lot of those fish and lures if you're using 20-pound monofilament. For
Dave,
your
you like
leader.
throwing search lures off the pier like like this war pig
Yes.
or this gotcha?
Yeah, I like the war
Hold
pig.
this.
I like the
Hold
war
this.
pig because it's heavy.
Yeah.
And you can throw it a long way.
This is a 3/4 ounce.
Yeah, and it sinks fast, and you can get a lot of bites on it because they're, depending on what the fish are eating. If they're eating a bunch of little silver sides, this little gotcha is a great one to throw. If they're eating pilchards, then the war pig is the thing to throw at them, or another topwater plug.
So is distance important?
Yes, that's why you want to use those. Get away with the longest rod that you can throw without hitting the people behind you. A good 8 foot, 8.5 is a good rod because you can, you can't. You can always throw it short, but you can't always throw it long. So you want to make sure that you have the distance when you need it.
So
right?
I'll give you a Murphyism.
Yeah.
You can always make a long one shorter, but you can't make a short one longer. I've been
Exactly.
trying to do that my whole life.
Exactly.
So, the cast-wise, throw it long and reel it back in.
Right. Exactly.
Is it time to go to you now,
It
Brie?
is so time to go to me. Those were 12 great tips, one great-ish tip from Rick. All right, well, piers and jetties can definitely be a productive way to reel in some big fish in the Fish Bites East region. So let's see what advice Captain Mike Holliday has for us. Mike, do you agree with Rick's tip?
I don't have that problem, so I don't really understand what he's talking about.
All right, good. Let's move on.
So piers and jetties are pretty much the mainstays for shorebound anglers in my region. And we've got the Lake Worth and Juneau Beach piers. Those are out on the beach. And then there's a stack of small piers in pretty much all the counties. Jensen, Martin, and St. Lucie counties have these cool little piers that are out on Hutchinson Island that jut out into the Indian River that are outstanding. Then there's the jetties. The south side of Palm Beach Inlet has limited parking, but great access to snook along the drop-off. The jetties on the south side of Jupiter Inlet and Fort Pierce Inlet, they have great parking and easy access, and great snapper fishing, great snook fishing. And don't overlook the flounder fishing around the spur jetty up in Fort Pierce, and the tarpon fishing in the middle of the inlet at night in Fort Pierce. And on the piers, like pilchards, threadfins, and croakers are the top baits for everything from a snapper to a kingfish to a snook to a tarpon. In the inlets, it's 1 to 2 ounce jigs, like a R&R flarehawk jig or a saltwater assassin Artemis shad. Those work really well after dark, pretty much all year round, and really well on the windy nights. Live baits include everything from a mullet to a shrimp on a jig head to even live sand perch. I got a couple cool photos from the Juneau Pier. The first one is Betty Howard Wilson.
Yeah.
With a nice snook that she got off the Juneau Pier before the season opened.
Fun.
And the second one is Elias Jimenez with a slot-size snook from the Juneau Pier. Look at the landing net behind him. Make sure you have one of those if you go to the piers, just to be able to lift your fish up and measure them. If they're not big enough, you can let them back down easily. The other bite, as long as we're talking about snook season opens this Sunday with a mullet run already kicking in. I expect to see some fantastic catches that first week of the season. Jupiter and Lake Worth Inlet still have good concentrations of fish, as does the Jensen Beach Causeway and North Bridge and Fort Pierce. There's still a lot of snook in the surf at Hope Sound, at Jensen Beach, and at Devero Cove. And in inlets, live pilchards, threadfins, croakers, saltwater assassin, 4-inch sea shad. The largest fish are going to come from the bridges by anglers that are throwing jigs or throwing live mullet. On the beach, a live mullet or croaker is pretty much the way to go. Average snook, 8 to 20 pounds. I got a photo of Duncan MacArthur of New Smyrna Beach. He got that nice slot snook in the St. Lucie Inlet, and that fish ate a live threadfin.
Nice. All right, let's go ahead and go offshore, bub.
Yeah, so the most consistent action for blue water anglers has been the bottom bite for mutton and mangrove snappers. It's kind of been a mixed bag. It's like someone just flipped a switch and the snapper just piled onto the natural reefs in places like the 100-foot reef off of Lake Worth, the Loran Ledge, the 6 and 8 mile reefs, and the 65-foot reef off Fort Pierce. There's also been good snapper action in the shallow places like the Sand Pile, Peck's Lake, and all the shallow patch reefs in close to the beach. You want to target the fish with anything from a threadfin, sardine, or pilchard to a pinfish or even a shrimp and jig combo. Grunt plugs, squid, and ballyhoo chunks are also great bait for the bigger fish. Average mangrove snappers like 2 to 4 pounds. Average mutton snapper, 5 to 14 pounds. And I got a photo, Captain Glenn Cameron, the Floridian charter boat out of Port Salerno, sent me this shot of a nice mixed bag of mutton snapper and triggerfish. They got that on the Loran ledge the other day.
Nice.
Now, the other thing, there's still good concentrations of kingfish in the area, particularly on the shallow reefs like the Loran ledge, the 6 Mile Reef, the Sand Pile, and the offshore bar out of Fort Piers. A lot of the fish are small, and they're really spread out. But once you find them, you work that area well, you get plenty of bites. There's also been plenty of fish on the bait schools in close to shore in the mornings and the afternoons, and also in the Kingfish Hole in Peck's Lake and in the Vero Cove. Target the kings with thread fins, pilchards, blue runners, or goggle eyes. You can either slow troll or drift them. If you can find some Spanish sardines, the fish will really be keyed on those baits. Put them on a number 4 wire stinger rig, and the average kingfish is going to be like 8 to 15 pounds.
All right, bub. Each week, I love your bass report, so don't let me down. What you got this week?
Yeah, Headwaters Lake was closed for like a week or so when they were repaving the parking lot. That's back open. The popular bass spot is just on fire right now. It's an artificial bite. I was talking to Captain Nathan Schoen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He said the best action's been in open water areas that are bordering hydrillomats. You can throw anything from a prop bait or a small popper to a fat job or tap out worm rig, Senko style. If the water's clean, green pumpkin's the way to go. If it's dirty, that June bug color is the way to go. The key is to work your lure super slow with long pauses. Sean said, most anglers are working their lures too fast when they're trying to just cover a lot of water and they're not getting the bites. Work them slow. There's a good big fish bite on frogs fished right on top of the hydrilla. Right now it's a 30 to 50 fish morning. Average bass 1 to 4 pounds, guys.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. We appreciate all your hard effort this week. Those pictures, man, they were the bomb. I appreciate those people from the pier sending them in.
Cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, way to go, Betty. All right, bud. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots. All right, bub. We'll go gang. All right, inshore. He says snook, tarpon at the South Jetty in Fort Pierce. Live shrimp, pilchards, threadfins, mullet, or a green horned 4-inch sea shad is going to work for those snook and poons. And then offshore, the muttons and yellowtail snappers, 85 to 100 feet of water off of Juneau Pier. Maybe try sardine, cigar minnow, or a grunt plug, Brie. Cigar minnow, you know that you like that one.
You know I do. All right, well, folks, this is another reminder about the Shoreline Showdown Surf Fishing Tournament Series presented by Fish Bites.
Yes.
4 tournaments, 1 championship, and over $75,000 in guaranteed payouts, plus fishing for a chance to qualify to compete for the title of the Ultimate Surf Angler. We are 2 down with 2 more to go, so for more information, scan that QR code or visit shorelinesshowdown.com. Those 2 are coming up quick. All right, for those of you who fish from a pier or jetty, yes, you can enter your catches in the CCA Florida Star Competition presented by Yamaha. Any fish, inshore or offshore species, can be entered with a shot at winning a share of $500,000 in prizes. That includes a New Carolina skiff, 250 Yamaha motor or college scholarships, and so much more. You have until Labor Day, Monday,
Yes.
to enter your fish, but you must be entered in the competition and a CCA member. So get registered today at ccaflstar.com. You don't want to miss out on that. No. The Real Legends Central East region is coming right up with your Labor Day weekend report. Plus, we're talking with a very special guest about the Shark Act. And then we're catching all sorts of species off the piers in the front runner boats, Northeast region, with Captain Tommy Derringer. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Polarized Fishing Sunglasses, Scoozy Shoes, the captain's choice for premium lightweight comfort, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong, Penn, let the battle begin, Kubota, together we do more. And the International Order of T. Roosevelt, protect your right to fish.
As you can see, joining me is Congressman Rob Whitman. You know, Rob, welcome to the show. The big thing that I think we're here to talk about is a couple years ago, you started this process of the Shark Act. So why don't we tell everybody where we sit with it today?
Sure. Well, the Shark Act passed out of the House. Today, what we need to do is we need to get it through the United States Senate. So we're encouraging folks to call Senator Marco Rubio, Senator Rick Scott, encourage them to take a bill similar to this and put it in through the Senate, or to advocate to get the House bill through the Senate. There's so many people that come to Florida to fish. We encourage all of your viewers on this program who come from other states to talk to their senators, get their senators involved, get them to support the Shark Act, because we have to be able to get our arms around what is a really important problem for recreational fishermen.
Now, this isn't about getting and killing a bunch of sharks. What this is a program, a comprehensive program. Why don't you tell us where we're headed?
Absolutely. This bill is about impaneling experts, both recreational fishermen, scientists, folks on the commercial side too, in figuring out what's going on here. And then we want to make sure it's driven by good science. We want to make sure we engage recreational fishermen. We want them to tell us what they're observing. We want to make sure we're using all the information that's out there so we can properly manage sharks. Because if we don't, and there's an imbalance in the system, it has a negative effect on our recreational fishing. I mean, anybody that goes out there and sees the number of fish that are being eaten right now by sharks has to go, wow, there's just something that's not right here.
So the data that we're currently using, is it up to date?
No, actually the data that we use, the stock assessment as it's called, is old data. We need up-to-date data on what's happening with shark populations, and they have them identified as to where they live. Let's figure out what's going on. Why do we see so many more sharks? Why do we see sharks that are really, I think, getting acclimated to boats and boat noise and anglers?
Agreed. So after we contact our senators, what do you think has to happen in order for all these groups to come together so we can start this process?
Sure. Well, we worked very hard to get a whole variety of different groups across the nation involved in supporting this. So we have a vast number of people that are behind us. What we want to make sure is that we get this bill in its current form through the Senate. And when we do, it'll get to the president's desk and be signed into law. And that starts the process for us to really seriously address this problem.
All right. There's a lot of information we just put out there. What's the easiest way for people to get more involved? How do they find out more
Sure. Listen, they can go to our website, which is whitman.house.gov, and it'll give you the information about the Shark Act. You can read more about it. You can also go online to the U.S. House of Representatives site and just Google or search Shark Act, and it'll give you the information about it. It'll let you know where things are. And if you want to become involved in that, I would encourage you to call your local legislator, House of Representatives, U.S. Senate.
Good job. And you know what? I'm grateful of all your hard work here on this, because it's much needed and it's been way too long.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So grateful,
the future
right, Brie?
of fishing is at hand here. And congrats on your catches today, by the way.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
our Real Legends Central East Region Captain, Jim Ross, is back in his home studio, but we enjoyed having you step in last week as co-host, Jim.
I tell you what, I appreciate Rick inviting me to come down and spend the evening with you last week. I had a great time, and we're going to have a great time in the Central East region because we've got a lot of piers and jetties, and they're all pretty darn good places to fish. And, you know, the Real Legends region has some potential to provide some great fishing off of those jetties and piers at certain times of the year. The inlets in particular in my region have some of the best piers, so Sebastian and Canaveral and Ponce, but there are some inshore jetties as well. And like you see in the picture here, I want to specify. Dave was talking about having a rod at the Workbench, about having a rod to be able to make long casts to reach fish. But 90% of the fish that you catch in the daytime are going to be directly under your feet, next to the pilings or next to the rocks. When you make those long casts, should be more in the nighttime when the fish get out away from the jetties and piers and are searching for baits out and away from them. But most of the time, they're right at your feet, underneath the structure, and that's where they want to live most of the time because that's where it's easiest for them to be able to ambush from. So just remember that. Just don't cast too far away in the daytime and stick with your live baits more than your artificials. You're going to catch more fish. Now, speaking of catching fish, I have got absolute snook thumb right now, and snook season opens up this week. I went out today and we just went and tested a spot, and I'm telling you right now, it was a heck of a test. We have got September 1st. We have got some fantastic fishing that's going to open up with some good slot-sized fish being available. The mullet run is happening right now. We've got big mullet, we've got finger mullet, we've got glass minnows, we've got a variety of baits in the Space Coast area, so anglers can get out there and catch a lot of fish. Now at nighttime, off of the jetties and piers, especially down at Sebastian, the snook will hit flare hawks, saltwater assassin Artemis shad, and lip diving plugs, especially on the outgoing tides. And right now our average snook is running about 30 to 36 inches. And I've got a picture here of one that Captain Brian Pound sent me the other day. It has Ron Farmer with some snook that he pulled out from under some pier pilings. Going offshore.
Go ahead.
My offshore report. We've got some sharks to talk about. Shark action is really good on the beach right now, but it's even better on our close reefs and wrecks. Anything from about 60 feet of water to about 120 feet of water is absolutely slap loaded up with sharks right now. We've got sandbars, bulls, and blacktips. Those are the three most popular. Along the beach, we've also got fine tooth. All of these fish are ranging from about 30 pounds up to about 250 pounds. Your best bet is to tackle up, use some heavy wire. A live or a chunk bait fish works really well. And, you know, those sharks, you know, if you hook one or two of them and all of a sudden you stop getting bites, don't be surprised, because sometimes the other sharks in the area will get the clue and they'll kind of leave. You may need to move to another wreck or piece of reef to catch some more of those sharks, but we've got some good ones. The lagoon right now has got a bunch of bull sharks in it as well, especially down around the Sebastian River and the Sebastian Inlet. I've got a picture here of one of those lagoon bulls that we put to the boat the other day on a topwater plug, so that was a whole lot of fun.
All right.
And my last species is cobia, Rick, and I'm telling you, cobia have been missing for a couple of years in my region, but we've got them right now, and it's really cool because the Real Legends region is holding fish, and they're deeper right now. A lot of these cobia are between about 90 and 200 feet of water, so don't be afraid to go out there and hit some of those reefs and wrecks like the 21 Fathom Ridge, the 27 Fathom Ridge, that are out there in the mid to upper 100 to almost 200 feet of water depth, because those fish are cruising deep in the water right now. They're not necessarily coming up unless you hook something and pull it to the top. Then have a pitch bait ready, a little jig, curly tail fish bites on it, an Artemis shad. But if you're dropping down for them, live grunts and croakers have been by far the best. Most of our cobia are over 36 inches right now. So just make sure that if you do gaff one, that it is legal to keep. But you know that release net is going to be your best friend, because every once in a while you're going to get that fish that comes up there and it's only at, say, 32 to 34 inch range. But just be careful to not put a gap in that fish before you get a chance to measure it.
All right, Jimmy, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots. He says, inshore, the speckled trout and the redfish in Mosquito Lagoon use live shrimp or assassin 4-inch sea shad tails under a rattling float along the grassy areas and channel edges. Offshore, the cobias on the reefs and wrecks in 90 to 150 feet of water use live and cut baits or large tipped jigs with fish bites on the 6-inch grub over those structures.
We just have too much fun here on set. Let me tell you guys.
We do. When they're showing B-roll footage, there's so many looks and funny things going on.
I had to hold it in. All right,
that's why you need to come as a live audience.
Yes, we're going to talk about that a little later. Wow. All right, there are plenty of pier and dock opportunities in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region where anglers are pulling up some pretty big fish. Right, Tommy?
That's right, Brie. You know, we have some awesome fishing piers and jetties here in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region. 3 real popular beach fishing piers in the region. It's going to be the Jacksonville, the Flagler, and the St. Augustine Beach Pier, although St. Augustine is currently over the sand because of beach renourishment, so wouldn't recommend fishing that one right now. You can catch all kinds of different fish from our piers depending on the time of year. And right now with the pogies and the mullet, like Jim was talking about, migrating down the beach, it's a great time to check out the piers. You know, those piers can produce some huge kingfish throughout this time of year. Along with the kingfish, the redfish, the tarpon, the big jacks, they also get into those pods of bait along the beach. And they're, of course, going to pass by all those piers. So if you're looking to catch a big fish from one of our piers, the late summer and early fall months, that's a great time to check it out. A live mullet or a pogie, either on the bottom or free line, would be a great way to go. You can do well with just about any kind of cut bait. It's pretty easy that way. And speaking of cut bait, like Jim was talking about, the shark fishing is also great from our piers. You know, these days there's just a ton, absolute ton of sharks around, and they're pretty willing to play. If you have a stinky piece of cut bait out there in the surf, they're definitely going to like that. And the jetty fishing, guys, it's about to fire up here as well with those mullet, both the big and small. They're just really starting to show the beginnings of that late summer and fall mullet run. You know, some of our jetties, they're a little easier to access on foot than some of the others, but it is a great place to catch a big fish without the need of a boat. Now, whether you're in a boat or you're fishing from shore, it really is about to get good in the inlet. The tarpon, the sharks, the redfish, and the jacks are all ganging up in the inlet. They're going to be busting through those schools of mullet. The slot and especially the bull redfish, which a lot of people like to target this time of year, are going to be schooling up, and they're going to look to get into that mullet action. The best tide for those fish is going to be an hour or two on either side of slack tide. A live or cut mullet, ladyfish, or crab are all excellent baits for those redfish. And I've got a picture here. This is a cool one. This is Eric Vergara with a big kingfish that he recently caught off the Jacksonville Beach Pier. They catch a lot of big kingfish off that pier.
Nice. All
now,
right.
staying inshore, guys, we've had a great redfish bite happening throughout the region over the last couple of weeks. We've had some awesome flood tides last week. Weather was really nice. It was really hot, but it was nice. There was plenty of redfish in the grass, tailing and slurping the crabs up. This weekend, we have a little different thing happening. The high outgoing tide early in the morning, which is really one of my absolute favorite tides for this time of year. It's a perfect time to bust out that Berkeley Jaywalker topwater plug and fish around those massive schools of mullet that are showing up throughout the region. The redfish, they're crushing those finger mullet along the grass lines on that outgoing tide as those mullets start to come out of the grass. Now, there's a window there where the tide is just right when those mullet are right on the edge, and they're going to, it's just a magic time to toss that topwater plug. Rick, you've done it with me before here. It's a lot of fun. I've got another picture here. This is my man Carter with a really nice redfish that he sight fished with his dad Bobby this past week while we were flood tide fishing out of the Maverick.
Way to go, Carter. My man, your man, Tommy. All right.
That's right. Moving offshore, just a quick kingfish report this week. The kingfish, they've moved a bit offshore. It's been a good bite. I spoke to my buddy, Captain Robert Holmquist. He tells me he's been on a good kingfish bite, more in the south end of the region, like from Ponce on up towards the Flagler grounds or towards Flagler Beach. He's doing the usual slow trolling live and dead baits. He's targeting some of the reefs, kind of close in from 10 to 20 miles out. But I also spoke to our buddy, Erin Johnson, and she was working the Old City Elite Kingfish Tournament this past weekend, and there was a bunch of big fish weighed in. A lot of those guys were fishing further offshore, and even one of my best buddies, Captain Gibbs, ended up winning, and I'll get some more details and some pictures and probably have those up for next week.
Gibby won?
Also, that's right.
Oh, my God. That's monumental.
The African pompano. We don't talk much about African pompano around here, but a few of the offshore captains I spoke to this week told me there's a really good bite happening. Captain Jason Hadges told me he's been finding good numbers of those pompano from 110 to about 200 feet, and he's definitely targeting the bigger ledges. Jason said he's fishing chunked baits and chumming those fish up just like you would do for the snappers. He said the most important thing to get those pompanos to bite a lot of times is to make sure your bait looks just like one of those pieces of chum as you float it back. And he also said when he sees those pompano around, he does have a rod rigged up with a small butterfly jig, but if they won't eat that, go with the chunk baits. They're going to be into those things. Those pompano, they're running 10 to 30 plus pounds. They're one of my favorite fish to eat. And I've got one last picture here. This is Braden Hadges, Jason's son, with a nice African pompano that he caught aboard the J-Hook.
Tell Gibby we're so proud of him. Congratulations. I think that's so awesome. But it is time for the Strike Zone Northeast Hotspots. Tommy says inshore, the redfish along the grass lines on the early morning high outgoing tide toss topwater plugs around the schools of finger mullets. And then offshore, African pompanos on the bigger ledges starting in 110 feet throughout the region, Brie.
You've fairly gone off your rocker. Tommy's just trying to finish his report, and you're screaming over
I'm so excited for Gibby.
Gibby friend. All right. Well, you mentioned it earlier. Our last live studio audience show is coming up soon, so make sure you scan that QR code on your screen and sign up to join us on September 11th for our Bass Show. We always have a record number of people here. It's always so much fun. The shenanigans, the free stuff, it's all good.
That was a win for Team Bahio.
Team Bahio.
Because Gibby's an
Gibby's
investor in
in
Bahio.
it. Okay, well, go Gibby.
That's
Just
it.
freaked out.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
but I'm seeing that Dave is ready and has all sorts of goodies to keep you entertained for Taco Marine new products at the CCA Workbench.
Dave.
We've got all kinds of really cool stuff. Really nice fish lipper from Gomex as well.
A lipper.
Very nice.
I love that lipper. We're
Very
gonna use that
nice.
on Rick tonight. And then we are seeing what the Startron Central West Region Captain Jeff Page has for us. So stay hooked and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Well, as you can see, we're back here at the CCA Workbench. We're going to talk about the Taco Marine new products. Dave, you got a desk full.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff up here, but mostly it's just one thing. And we're start off over there with the Berkley Power Jerk Shad. It's a multi-action bait. It's got a little understated keel on its belly that creates a real erratic behavior and movement. It's precision tuned with that little tail on there. It's just made to design to cast a long distance. You know, it's a soft bait that actually has a little bit of heft to it and will cast a long ways. Just a really nice.
How many different colors, Dave?
Well, they have a bunch of different colors, but it comes with a lot of different weights as well. You can buy different jig heads for it, and just a really good bait. They hold on to that thing 18 times longer than a regular bait because it does have that power bait scent built inside of it, and you can get a good whiff of it when you hold on to it. But anyway.
Where'd it go? BerkeleyFishing.com?
BerkeleyFishing.com.
Okay, now what do we got here from Seasucker?
Next, we have the Switch tool holder from Searsucker.com. It's got inshore for working inshore, offshore, and freshwater. This little accessory gives you access to all the stuff that you want to have on hand all the time. Pliers, knives, hooks, lures. They got these two magnets up here that you know metal stuff will stick to. You know, if your hook's on there, it won't go anywhere. It's also got the little side thing there for you can put spools of leader material on there. You can actually mount that thing straight up and down, horizontal or vertically, because of the way this little hinge in here works.
Got it.
You take it apart and it'll adjust to how you like to have it.
Customize it to your personal needs.
And it's got the powerful Seasucker mount on there, so it's not going to go anywhere once you put it there. So that's a great little tool to put on your boat.
And where do we go to get
Seasucker.com.
Nice.
I was working with Jeff Page the other day, and he had one of those. It was very nice.
Okay.
Next, we have a Gomex's fish grip and scale. This little fish gripper has a 40-pound spring scale inside that shows in pounds and kgs. It operates with just one finger. You put your finger in that hole.
It's impressive.
Yeah. Pull it back, and it opens up. It's got a 360-degree rotation, from the handle.
Right.
So, you can hang on, and the fish can be twisted or whatever, and it won't come off. I'd put a lanyard on it just because I wouldn't want to lose it. Ergonomic foam handle. Just very nicely made out of anodized aluminum.
I love this part about the bottom lip deal because I think that's going to help hold in the under
in the
chin. Wobble or whatever Ron
Yeah.
McGill said that was on the we're losing it over here.
Yeah.
All right, where do we go to find this?
Gomex's.com.
Okay. All right, now what?
Last but not least, we got the Jig Pro Fishing Swim Paddle Tail. And these are really nice. What's really cool about these is the way that it attaches to the jig. This is a patent pending design here. And what happens is that they mold a cavity inside the jig itself, the soft part, so that when you go to put it in there, it's already got a hole ready for that jig.
Oh, I got it.
And you go around the corner, and the way these things hold, it just makes for a perfect perfect presentation every time.
Push the plungers down in there.
Yeah,
until you're
push the plungers all the way on, and it lines up perfect.
Nice. That's cool.
It is
Somebody
cool.
was thinking.
That Easy Reg Systems comes with that unique keeper on the jig head, and it's got really strong hooks on there. Really, you can fish these at any depth. They come from 3 inches all the way up to 7 inches. I think this is a 5-inch version. Weights from 1/4 ounce all the way up to 3 ounce. They got EV enhanced colors too. I mean UV enhanced colors as well. So you can match up the heads and the tails however you like to have. You know, they got different colors on the heads and the tails. You can mix them or match them however you like. They got like 5 different colors: flamingo,
Where do
dirty,
we
De
go to
Niro,
find those?
2-stroke. To jigprofishing.com, jygprofishing.com.
All right, we got more pro fishing to get to.
Well,
Just stepping all over my tongue tonight.
well, you know, I don't know about
Chewing
Joe.
on
I
it.
think we're all ready for a 3-day
You think
weekend.
so?
I think so. I think we all need a little break. All right, when it comes to the Star-Tron Central West region, piers and jetties are the place to be. And there's plenty of them, so let's find out more details with Captain Jeff Page. What's up, Page?
You are right there, Miss Brie. You know, we have no shortage of piers and a few jetties. As far as the piers go, probably the world famous, the old Skyway Bridge, which they left both the St. Pete side and the Manatee County side. They left a lot of it up. They just took the center part out, which collapsed anyway, and dispersed that amongst South Tampa Bay for good grouper grounds, for good structure on the bottom. But as far as the piers, the cool thing about them is you can drive your car right out pretty much to where you want to fish. Now, working our way south, right there at the Anna Maria City Pier and the Anna Maria Rod and Reel Pier, which stick out into the Gulf of Mexico, and you can see the Skyway from both of them. Heading south, we have Tony Soprito Pier in Sarasota Bay, and then as you get down to Venice, we have the Venice Jetties and the Venice Fishing Pier, which sticks out in the Gulf as well. And then down at the Mayaca River, at the mouth of Mayaca River in Charlotte Harbor, is the El Joe Breen Fishing Pier, which in the fall of the year can produce some really good tarpon and snook fishing. Now, a little word of advice that I tell especially newer anglers that maybe want to go try pier and jetty fishing, I tell them to go down to the pier or jetty they want to fish and don't even worry about bringing rods and reels the first time. Just walk out there and see what the regulars, see what the locals are using, what are they catching, how are they catching bait, etc., etc. And depending on the time of year, in the winter they're going to be putting shrimp or cut bait on the bottom. In the summer they're going to be using live bait or crabs. And the cool thing is a lot of times you can catch that stuff right out on the pier with a cast net, sabiki rig, or a collapsible crab trap. That being said, my photo tonight is of a young man from Bradenton named Billy Burke, and that's on the Anna Maria Rod and Reel Pier.
Nice.
Staying inshore, snook fishing, Rick, with all the schools of baits which have pushed in from the Gulf into the passes, as well as up in the bays and along the beaches. The silver mullet especially, big schools of silver mullet. Now, we don't have the runs that they have on the East Coast, but there's lots of silver mullet in the passes, and with these big moon tides that we've had this week, daytime snook fishing's been okay, but the nighttime's been really good. And once again, from the jetties down in Venice, I've gotten good reports on live ladyfish as well as silver mullet on that outgoing tide. Big snook, I suggest using heavy tackle. In the daytime, if you're into fishing, you've got a noontime high tide this week, and the fish will be up on top of your oyster bars down around Bull and Turtle Bay. Top water plugs like the Jaywalker 110 and the bone pattern works real good. My snook photo tonight is of Dallas Valdez with a big snook he also caught at the Rod and Reel Fishing Pier in Anna Maria.
Whoa.
That's a big
good
one. Yep. Let's go offshore.
Offshore, Rick, permit. Calm conditions. I know Ronnie was talking about it a week or so ago. Well, up in my region, same thing. Early morning, light east winds. The fish have been up on top. 3 to 7 miles. All the artificial reefs from Venice up to St. Pete. Pretty much pick and choose the reef you want to try. Give it a little time. If not, move to another one. Live pass crabs have been the ticket. Free lining, if it is a little choppy, a small split shot weight just to get them down. And Billy Alstrom reports that he's been catching them even with the U-Pro Pompano jig in that 3 to 7 mile range off Anna Maria. Got a photo tonight of a happy client with a flying Hawaiian, Kaylin Olair out of Stump Pass Marina. So that was down off Stump Pass in the south part of the region. And my last species, mango snapper, you know, we've got gag grouper opening this next week, but the mang bite has been really good, and the nighttime bite's even been better, according to Captain Josh Prunier. Anywhere in that 150 into about 100 feet of water, live pilchards, pinfish, standard bottom rig will work. And my photo tonight is of Captain Josh Prunier from Rippin' Lips Charters with a nice nighttime mango snapper.
Great report tonight, Paige. Thank you. Daiquiri Deck hotspots, Central West region are as follows. Inshore, the tarpon, lots of small to medium-sized tarpon up and down the beaches throughout the entire region. Find the tight schools of red minnows, and the poons will be nearby. And then offshore, good permit bite on most of the near shore reefs, approximately 3 to 7 miles out. Live free line pass crabs are going to be your best bet for bait.
All right, well, Rick, we've mentioned this a few times in the season already, but fishing and hunting are under attack, and thankfully, the International Order of T. Roosevelt is fighting back. Florida's economy relies on fishing, supporting thousands of jobs and generating billions of dollars. Anglers, it's time to join the fight. Visit SaveFloridaFishing.com and pledge your vote with IOTR in 2024. The registration deadline is fast approaching to protect our heritage, so please don't wait. Our sport is at stake this November.
Guys, this is no joke,
Not a
man.
joke.
It's no joke.
Go do it.
That's
All right, no boat, no problem in the Sea Sucker Panhandle and Casa Vieja Southeast regions. They're coming right up. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Florida. Make sure to scan that QR code and head on over to our website to purchase products you see here on the show. Pick up some new merch, plus see new fishing adventures on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll see you soon.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. Takeuchi, from world first to world leader. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Welcome back, everyone. We're catching all sorts of species from all sorts of piers and jetties in the Sea Sucker Panhandle region. So, Captain Patanine, go for it.
Brie, I tell you, the Panhandle Sea Sucker region has plenty of piers and jetties to fish from. We've got 5 long piers that extend into the Gulf, with the pier in Navarre being the longest pier on the Florida Gulf Coast. And everything from blue water fish like sailfish to inshore fish like flounder off these piers. And currently, the piers are catching kings, tarpon, bonita, a few cobia, and some nice redfish close to the beach, the first 50 yards off this dry sand. And each of our inlets have jetties that are both beach accessible. Common catches from the jetties include redfish, Spanish mackerel, bluefish, and black snappers. Currently, they're catching Spanish mackerel and black snappers, but during the springtime, pompano fishing from the jetties can be red hot. Our bridges have great fishing around them, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of them that have good fishing allow fishing off the catwalk. The Shalimar and Cinco Valle bridges in Fort Walton allow fishing from them, and anglers are primarily targeting black snappers, redfish, black drum, and Spanish mackerel from those bridges. There's a photo of a tarpon caught by Isaiah Samps from Okaloosa Island Pier this past week on a paddle tail. He jumped off walked around out in the water and successfully released that tarpon, but they're still around, which is really cool. Staying inshore, August and September are times for mangrove snappers in our bay. Primarily, they're going to be near the inlets or on deeper structure in the middle bay systems. The first things first is to get some good baits, small pilchards being the best baits you can find. You're going to find them on the grass and on sand flats near the pass. Use a 1/4-inch mesh cast net so you don't kill them. Fish your baits near the structure by free lining them or with a minimal weight. Nose hook them on a circle hook light 10 to 12-pound leaders. The bay mangroves are often keepers, but they're definitely run on the smaller size. They're much bigger in the Gulf. But there are a lot of limits being caught right now. Moving offshore, the king mackerel continue to be available, and some pretty good sized ones are being caught as well. They're just outside the passes on the buoy lines around the bait schools, natural and man-made bottom structure. Live baiting with cigar minnows and herring is pretty much standard technique, and the bait fishing's been good right now. You can sabiki your baits just inside the inlets or along the buoy line, just outside the inlets, and then immediately start fishing. Put your baits on a stinger rig. If you're not catching the kings there, move offshore into 60-foot depths and fish over concrete structure or some of the shallower, shallower barges, metal structures. And then next stop would be some natural bottom in 80 to 90 foot depths. The kings are running up to and over 20 pounds. And you're sure to catch some bonitas, possibly some Spanish mackerel and mahis while you're live baiting for those king mackerels. There's a photo staying with the pier theme. Alex from Fort Walton Beach, the 20-pound king caught off the Okaloosa Island Pier earlier this week. And that's a pretty nice little pier catch.
Yeah, man, I love the fact that thing was screaming off line. Tell us a little bit about screaming off line with a blue marlin.
Yeah, Rick, the offshore blue waters push up nicely into the steps, the spur, and the nipple area, and anglers are finding white marlins and blue marlins. The Okaloosa Fad Complex is a great destination to start, especially if you can get there early. Those 1, 2, 3, 4 fads on the north side of the canyon have been doing really well. They're holding small tunas for bait, and where there's baits, you're going to find things that eat that bait. You're in a good place. But keep in mind that 600 to 700 foot depths around the nipple and elbow have been marking a lot of stacks of smaller baits midwater and shouldn't be overlooked as a starting point. So keep your eye on your bottom machine as you're running out. As always, look for the bait, look for grass lines and any floating structure. You want to pull a mixed spread of small to medium ballyhoos and maybe a couple larger plugs off your flat lines or short riggers. And if you got the ability to pull a couple dredges and some teasers off your riggers, that's just going to enhance your chances, I guess. And then there's plenty of mahis around, especially if you find some weed lines or some type of structure, or those back to those pads. There's typically some mahis around them. So offshore fishing is really turning on right now, and it's been great for it.
All right, thank you so much, Pat. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Panhandle region. He says inshore, it's not too late to catch a tarpon on our beaches. Anchor up on a quiet stretch of beach in 10 feet of water and sight cast to the singles and small groups as they pass by. Then offshore, big vermilion snappers are coming off the natural bottom in larger wrecks in 180 to 200 foot of water using cut baits on a chicken rig.
No, it's definitely not too late. That picture was gorgeous. The
Yes.
water was crystal clear. All right, the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region has a very specific advantage to fishing from the piers and jetties. So let's find out where we'll be spending our holiday weekend with Captain Jimbo Thomas.
Hey, Brie and everybody else in there. We do have quite a few fishing piers here in the Southeast region, and there's no other area in the state that the deep water is so close to the shore. Now, there used to be a lot more fishing piers in the region, but over the years, a lot of them have been beat up by hurricanes and tropical storms, so there's only a handful of them remaining. There's Lake Worth Pier, Deerfield Beach Pier, the Pompano Pier, Anglin's Pier, and the South Beach Pier. And I hope I didn't forget or omit any of them. And I do believe the Pompano and South Beach piers are free, and the others charge a few bucks to get on the piers there. Now, there's also good fishing around the jetties, although you do risk your life walking out over those slippery rocks, but you can safely fish those from a boat. Now, the Boynton Inlet Jetty is basically a fishing pier, and on the south side of Hulliver Inlet, there's a concrete walkway you can fish off of. Now, you can catch snook throughout the year off all of the piers and the jetties. Also, assorted snappers, grunts, jacks. Those are typically the pier mainstays. And then in the winter months, mackerel, bluefish, pompano, cobia, and even the occasional kingfish is caught off the piers and jetties. Now, most of those piers and the jetties hold live baits like pilchards and sardines. You can sabiki those up to use as live or dead bait. So if you go on the pier, bring a sabiki rod as well as your other tackle. And then there's also lots of hangs and snags around all that structure, so you want to bring along plenty of tackle, hooks, lines, and sinkers. Now, staying inshore,
we have got pretty decent sea trout fishing up in North Biscayne Bay. The sea trout have been decent-sized ones, 1 to 3 pounds and larger, and they're being caught on the grass flats on both the east and west sides of Biscayne Bay. You want to fish for those larger ones with small live baits like pilchards, herring, and pinfish under a popping cork, or you can fish jerk baits with green or black backs, or quarter-ounce jig heads with gulp shrimp or 4-inch bass assassin sea shads. Those are all getting bites. Best fishing has been in 4 to 8 feet of water on the flats that have good moving water, and if there's some bait activity in the area, that's going to be even better. Now, Captain A.B. Raymond, he's been fishing the flats from Venetian Causeway north to Oliver Inlet. He's been finding trout on the higher stages of the tide, and he's caught fish up to 24 inches, and he's been using live pilchards.
Nice.
Now, I got a photo here. This is Chad Friedman from Miami with a 24-inch trout that he was caught with A.B. Raymond aboard the Go Hard, and that's one of the larger ones for Biscayne Bay.
Nice.
Now, moving offshore, we've got kingfish showing up, and they've been almost non-existent for the last couple months. The bulk of these kings are being caught on the troll. You want to use drone spoons, 3.5 drone spoons, or a pink sea witch with a bonita strip behind it. You want to get that bait down deep. You can do it on a wire line outfit or behind a planer. And if you're using a planer or the wire line, you want to use a long leader, fish anywhere from like 90 to 130, 140 feet of water. There's also been some kings caught on the live baits using pilchards and herrings and goggle eyes, but trolling has been producing more fish, but the size has been a lot better on the liveys. These kings have been anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds, and the areas from Oliver Inlet north to Lake Worth Inlet have definitely been the best. And then we got the nighttime snapper fishing. It's been really good throughout the whole region, especially for mangroves. There's also been muntins and yellowtails mixed in. And with all this heat, getting out that evening is not a bad idea. Beat the heat. Now, snapper, they've been hanging on the outside reef, anywhere from 50 to 80 feet of water, and you want to fish with dead bait on the bottom, sardines, silver sides, cut ballyhoo, cut pilchards. You want to use a knocker rig, use a 20 to 30 pound leader, and 10 to 30 circle hooks. Now, Captain Ryan Ormston, he's the captain aboard the Reward out of Miami. He's been fishing along the outside reef line of Government Cut. He's been finding mangroves anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds, and a lot of nights they don't start biting until after 9 o'clock. So if you're out there early, you're not getting bites, don't give up. Now, there's also been pilchards and goggle eyes coming up in the light, and you can put a sabiki out, catch those, put those things back down for bait, and the larger fish have been on those fresh livelies, but the sharks, as always, have been a real problem eating a lot of those hooked fish. Got another photo here. And this is my better half, Jane, with a nice mutton snapper caught on a live pilchard using a Pin Authority reel.
All right.
That's Mama Jane.
There's Mama Jane doing it like she always do. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Black Oak LED hotspots from the southeast region. Jimbo says inshore, guys, look for the sea trout on any of the grass flats throughout the region using small live baits under a popping cork. And then offshore, get out, beat the heat, go at nighttime for the snapper fishing with live and cut baits along the edges of the outside reefs.
All right, well, when you're on the road, make sure you show your support for Florida's fisheries with a Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Funds from the sale of the redfish tag directly support protecting and enhancing marine resources, habitat restoration, water quality, and coastal environmental education. Make sure you get yours now at your local DMV or redfishtag.com. I just got mine in the mail, and I have to say, even in person, it is one of the best plates on the marketplace.
Well, we can all say we're glad you're happy.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
All right, get ready, anglers. Paradise is calling from the Takeuchi Keys region when we come back with your captain, Ridge Murphy. We'll be back.
That's my captain.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley Prospect Chrome. Real legends, available at bellsflorida.com. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today I would like to go over a little more advanced technique when using a power pole shallow water anchor. First thing I do when leaving the dock is pay attention to the wind direction and the sun. My goal is to fish all shorelines, flats, or docks with the wind and the sun at my back. Doing this gives me the best shot at sneaking up on fish and spotting them from further away. It also dramatically increases my casting distance. Throwing with the wind as opposed to casting directly into the wind is another key tip. Another advantage to approaching spots like this, when I'm working an area with the wind at my back, I do not have to use my trolling motor nearly as much. I also don't have to turn it up on higher speeds, which reduces hole slap and other noises that could spook fish. I'm trying to be as stealthy as possible and let the wind push me down a shoreline, giving me the best advantage possible. When I see a fish or I hook up, I deploy the power pole silently in the water. My boat remains facing downwind, even with a single power pole anchor. Next time you're out on the water, fish with the wind and the sun at your back, and I guarantee your catches will go up. That's your power pole tip.
That was a good tip, almost as good as my power pole tip.
Not quite.
Not quite. All right, the Takeuchi Keys region has its own take on the whole pier and jetty thing, but it's just as good or even better. So let's get Captain Ridge Murphy on the line to have a little chat. Take us into Labor Day, Ridge.
You know, when it comes to piers and jetties here in the Alta Coogan region, it's more like shorelines and bridges. The Keys has a lot of land fishing and bridge fishing all up and down the region, starting in Key Largo with the Quard Sound Road down to Channel 5, to Channel 2, Long Key, Pigeon Key, Bahia Honda, 7 Mile Bridge, and all the cuts going down to Key West. But one thing you want to do and keep in mind when fishing off the bridges is that you're going to have to carry whatever you want from your car, so make sure to have a wagon or a cart to load all your gear on. Some things you want to bring is bait, and like packs of frozen ballyhoos, some live shrimp or pinfish, and if you can get them at the store. Leads, hooks, and fluorocarbon leader. And some other things you want to bring is maybe a cooler, a landing net for a bridge, a grappling hook gaff if you're going to target some meat fish, and maybe a chair and an umbrella. Some species to look for is lane snappers, mangrove snappers, yellowtails, mutton snappers, groupers, permits, big snooks, and maybe even a tarpon. I have a photo filming of Sports and Adventures off the Bahia Honda Bridge of a big mutton snapper that ate a live crab on an Eagle Claw 3/0 circle hook.
Ridge at the bridge.
That ain't no joke right there, Bridge Fishing Ridge.
That's right.
All right, man.
The redfish in the backcountry of Isla Morada and Key Largo has been on fire. Look for the fish up on the crowns of the flats or the high water, rumbling around in big schools. These fish have been tailing in groups of 2 or 3 or waking in large schools on the surface. The average size fish is anywhere from 23 to 28 inches, so there's some nice ones around. Keep an eye out for mullet muds or rays, and chances are there will be some reds nearby. Throw bass assassin 4-inch sea stads in pink, white, chartreuse, or more natural colors like Houdini, Mama's 14 karat, or New Penny. Rig these baits on an Eagle Claw weedless hook and the Fenwick Pro Elite rod, and I have a photo of our Texas Insider Fishing Report captain, Mike McFarland, and he caught this nice redfish with me up on the flats of Florida Bay. This fish ate a 4-inch bass assassin sea shad, tailing so hard he was standing on his head.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore.
I spoke to Captain Trevor Newman, and just like Sammy's report from last week, the mahis have been a little harder, but the blackfins have been pretty good. Chum live filters on the 409 and on the west hump for the blackfins, bumping the boat into the current for the blackfin tuna, and looking for tuna marks on your depth finder. You can free line live baits, but if you want to switch it up, you can try working a vertical jig in the schools of fish. In my opinion, the live bait's the way to go, but sometimes can be hard to get, so have a few jigs on board for insurance baiting. Also, Trevor also said that some of the guys are trying their luck on some of the deeper wrecks out and catching mutton snappers. The water temps have been hot, pushing the fish off the reef further offshore. Drift baits or anchor on live bottom in 140 to 250 feet of water, and use 10 to 16 ounces of lead with a long fluorocarbon leader for the mutton snappers with baits like cigar minnows, pilchards, ballyhoo plugs on a 5/0 circle hook.
So, Ridge, I got a question for you, my son. So the front runner's got the hooker pump box in there, and certainly we got 3 big live wells. Tell me how you know when you're pressurizing it, how you have it just right. What's too much? What are you looking for it to be, too much or too little?
You got to kind of look at the baits. And so if the baits are in there and they're swimming in all kinds of different directions, either it's too much or too little. Now, whether it's too much or too little, if it's too much, it's blasting out of the top of the live well lid and it doesn't look right. And if you start backing it down, meaning the actual rheostat on the hooker pumps, you can watch those baits and they'll tell you what they feel, right? And so if they start swimming in a nice uniform circle or even their oval and they're doing what they're supposed to do, if it looks natural, it tends to feel natural, right? And so once you kind of get that pattern or get that feel, kind of put your hand down there in the live well pickup, and then you know how much flow is proper, right? But if they're swimming in all kinds of different directions, chances are it's not right. So you're going to have to play with that rheostat and kind of figure out what your boat likes for those hooker pumps.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys region. Ridge says that inshore, the redfish are up on the flats in schools. Throw Bass Assassin rigged weedless on a Fenwick HMG light or medium light rod with 8 to 10 pound Berkeley X9 braided line. And then offshore, blackfin tunas on the humps, chumming live pilchers as well. You can bump into the current, free-lining baits out of the back of the boat on an Eagle Claw live bait hook. You know, Brie,
yes.
The one thing that you also need to understand, the high-speed pickup, if you accelerate, you just pick up your speed in the boat, you may have to adjust the rheostat. Vice versa, if you slow down the boat, gets a little bit rough, you might have to put a little more volume. That's what makes the hooker pumps so good, because you can adjust on the run.
Right, you and Ridge explained that perfectly. All right, now it's time to take a look at some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys. First is the Key Largo Rotaries Take Stock in Children Backcountry Challenge, which allows fishing day and night from Friday, October 4th to Sunday the 6th, followed by the presentation of awards for releases of redfish, snook, and trout in adult and junior divisions. Then anglers compete for awards in 3 divisions, artificial, fly, and baits, for the longest bonefish and permit during the 54th annual Isla Morada Fall All Tackle Bonefish and Permit Championship, October 14th through the 16th. Then is the formerly all-female Casting for Cats Backcountry Tournament, October 17th and 18th in Isla Morada. Now has co-ed and women's divisions, with proceeds funding Upper Keys efforts to spay, neuter, and care for feral cats. And finally, the ladies hone their fishing skills October 19th in Isla Morada during the Ladies Let's Go Fishing University, followed by the Fishing Fever Tournament on October 20th. For more information on Keys tournaments, go to FLA Keys.
We all have fishing fever tonight.
We do.
We can't talk and we're giggling.
We're crazy. All right, anglers, it's time to get your Labor Day weekend on. Rick, to be quiet and head to your nearest dock, jetty, or pier. But stay with us so we can tell you what we're fishing for next week. Good. Well, next week we are talking yellowtail, so make sure you tune in. But it's been a great show. It's been a little crazy one.
I'll be here.
It's Labor Day weekend, so have a great holiday. Stay safe, wear all your safety equipment, and we'll see you next week. Adios.
Go Fins.
Adios.